So we hear the calling. We don't always have the courage. We never do actually have the courage in that moment to say, "Oh yes, that's where I'm going to go for." Unless you're like young and you are moving through life and you sort of are still moving from that intuition. But at a certain point, sometimes what happens is when we move towards our intuition and then we have some what we call failures, then we hold that and we carry that forth every single year, and we allow that to hold us back. So here's why we have to discern between when we are in survival and when we are in soul mode, when the soul is speaking. And here's the thing, they speak like right beside each other. You know, the soul will be like, whoa, yeah, cool, yes, do that. And then all of a sudden, bang, your egoic structure is going to like, well, that's just not possible because of, and then you start going into a problem solving mode. And so that egoic structure is going to do anything it possibly can to protect you from the unknown. And of course, if you're going for a soul mission, of course it's an unknown, right? There's nothing known about it other than you know it in your deep heart, and you know it naturally puts you in flow state and your zone of genius. Okay? But your survival will protect you at all costs. So what's really important is to understand and discern between the two voices, and especially when they're always kind of dancing and having this simultaneous conversation. Like, I was with a client the other day, and he was talking, because here's the thing, when we feel safe, the soul will speak, and so will our survival. So often in our coaching, what happens is like all of the like, oh, I can't do this and you can't do that, blah blah blah, and then we do some practices to kind of shift out of survival mode into soul mode. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, so tell me, like, tell me what it is you want to do, right? And like, oh, I would really love to work with this people and teach them energy work and teach them the 3 stages of this and all, like, and then it just starts flowing out, right? And so there are two voices, and I had a client where he literally was telling me, while he was telling me, his egoic structure was literally like speaking to him at the same time. So he was telling me about what he would love to do, and I could literally see it in his body. He was kind of like almost going like this, and I said, what's that voice up there? And he's like, yeah, I can't, like, yeah, there's a voice like literally here telling me like every word I say that I want to do, it's like, well, no, you can't do that. It's almost like bearing down on him, right? So if you were to work with me, like, that's one of the biggest works that we start to practice with, is starting to really discern the difference between survival mode and soul mode. And then practicing collaborating with our survival mode, because our survival mode is always going to be there. Fear is always going to be there. So it's not like we do these work and we do all of this stuff and all of a sudden we're so confident. No, the fear is always going to be there. So we have to learn how to collaborate with that one that is always trying to keep us safe. And then 2, learn how to trust the soul's voice, right? And take action based on what the soul is yearning. Okay? And not these big, huge actions, like just what is the next most obvious action? And again, for us, it would always be, what is the next most obvious action for you energetically, but also for you on a practical level. Okay? So very often with my clients who have been at this thing, transformation, coaching, healing, for decades. So they're phenomenal at what they do. Like they get them in the room with their ideal person, and they do their magic. Okay, you know that about yourself. And so sometimes, often, especially for healers, like one of the biggest kind of a lot of energy that we have around is increasing our prices and money, right? So, but yet you've been working with people for like decades, and one of the easiest things is to start working with the people who already trust you, right? And of course, there's a strategy to this, but developing packages that create your life altering transformation and positioning it and offering it to people that you already know that trust you, right? So, you know, sometimes strategy is much more simple than you think, but um, again, it's that ability to, what is the next most obvious thing that you can do that your nervous system can handle to move you to where you want to go. Because here's the thing, very often what we'll do is we know where we want to go, or we want to maybe, let's say, make more money, or we have created a certain program that is positioned in a way that creates an outcome, so that people are paying for the outcome, not your hourly rate. Okay, that's something that I teach our clients. And the simplest thing is like, okay, go call your client that you've known for 20 years, right? And then what they'll do is like, well, no, Mel, maybe I should go on this retreat, and maybe I should go take a certification, and then maybe I should like read these 10 books before I talk to like that one client that has known me for 20 years, and we've done transformational work, like, and the stuff we do works. Yeah.